conversation as well. And
I
do you
do
want
have a
to
question.
chime in? Oh yeah, go ahead, Martha.
I have a question. So I understand that Miss Abby went ahead and contacted the other members, and that kind of is leaving a little bit for ambiguity as to what group. But my thing is are we going to have a moderator at these groups? Because I thought it was supposed to be where we're meeting independently and reporting back. And we didn't need anyone to basically facilitate, because the whole thing is for them to be able to have a little bit more rapport and workability amongst them without like guidance. Because I think that the goal is for them to be able to build up or hone in on what that need is, and then connect with the person from staff and saying, hey, we've come up with some of these ideas, and this would be the outcome that we're looking for, or this would be the guidance that we're looking for, but not having any staff really have to be at the meeting or at the session for discovery.
Yeah, Martha, I brought up Abby because that was specific to the anti-displacement memo, and just wanting to follow up on that specifically, not necessarily to be in every, like, you know, anti-displacement combo. But I am curious, right? Like, if we're going to be trying to learn something from staff and we have to split these groups up, right? Like, how are folks cool with that? Like, is that
Well, before anyone answers that question and before staff responds, I just want to honor that Ms. Stewart had her hand up. Go ahead. And we can consider it all at once. Go ahead, Ms. Stewart.
Thank you. First of all, I just want to say thank you for the memo, William. It helped with your thinking. I'm less interested in the geographical breakdown, because mostly I think coast. So like I have more common with District 4 in Oakland than I do with District 9, for example. So I'm less interested in that piece. And also, if I'm honestly looking at the amount of time I have and really where my passion is, I don't want to volunteer for 4 committees. I really want to focus on broadband. So what I would say, though, is I appreciate the way staff has been engaging all of us in projects that come up, like SB1 review or others. And so what I would like to do is remove myself from all of the committees except for the broadband one, and then just say I'm still interested in all those topics, and so please keep sending the emails and I will engage when I can. But the broadband is timely. We're losing our ability to focus. The state is all over the state. People are talking about equity with this money, and I want to get on it and get our input in.
Noted. And you're only on broadband in the geographic one.
No, I'm on 4 different ones under this thing: transportation, highway corridor. Like I said, I'm very interested in issues. I want to still be on the email list, but I don't really want to stand up a committee.
You were only on broadband on my first version. I apologize. Sorry. So I think we need a response from staff in regard to what capacity you all have. And I think that it's quite, well, can I just do a straw poll of like hands of folks that are not interested in the geographic committee? Because we can just not consider it. But your actual hand on your Zoom. If you're not interested, raise your hand. No geographic. Okay, I only see 1 hand. Oh, 2. All right. 3. All right. We have quorum, yeah. We're losing folks, but we still have quorum. So, does staff have a response in regard to capacity around what you envision us working with you on these different issues?
Yeah, so Chair Walker, if I could turn it over to Ann to respond to the question around the chair being an ex officio member of all subcommittees based on what's written in the charter, because it sounds like the question at hand is that if folks want to have smaller groups so that they can meet without having to publicly notice their meetings for the subcommittees, by default right now, the way the charter is written, a subcommittee, even of 2 members, would actually be 3 members with the chair included as that ex officio. And therefore, it would then have to be a publicly noticed meeting, and therefore we would have to have staff attend. So if we want to do something different, I think we have some questions about how we might need to change that in the charter. So Anne, I will turn it to you.
Yeah, no, that's fine. There's a couple of different ways that this can sort of be worked out. So for example, Bagley-Keene doesn't apply to committees of 2 persons, right? In the charter, the chair is an automatic member of every committee. So where it's just the chair and the vice chair, that's just 2 people and that's fine. But if it were 2 members, not including the chair, then it would automatically be a 3-person committee. But let's take, for example, this the interest in the anti-displacement that had 4 members, right? And then you add the chair, which becomes 5 members. Well, if you get all 5 together, then you have to have a publicly noticed meeting. But if 2 of those members of that subcommittee wanted to go talk to some kind of consultant about anti-displacement, then that's less than a majority of that subcommittee. So they could go do that research and then come back to the whole subcommittee and share their findings. But
Just
that
a clarification, there are no 4-person subcommittees. Those are 2 separate committees. That's how I saw
okay,
it.
so which is fine, but they cannot have the same, they can have kind of the same overall topic, but they can't be identical. So you could say anti-displacement related to persons experiencing homelessness for this subcommittee, and this other subcommittee maybe has to do with tribal displacement. So they can't be 2, you can't split a subcommittee and have it have overlapping topics.
So I want to take us, and thank you, Deputy Counsel. I want to take us back to when I first mentioned this item. And I said, if we just split into groups of 2 without like any item, we could just organize what we want to do. And I think that that's the easiest because it means that you don't have to notice it. I might be the ex officio member of every committee, but I'm not going to every committee meeting. So you don't have to notice it, and I won't go. And if I'm going, I'll call staff. So I don't think we need to worry about amending the charter right now. Because yeah.
So
And
just as a point of clarification, it's the membership, not the attendance. So even if it's 2 people plus the chair, that's 3. With 2 people attending, that's still a majority of the subcommittee.
Okay. Well, I guess we amend the I mean, I didn't write that in the charter, so that is not my doing. Miss Erasmus, your hand is up. Is it still up?
Yeah, thanks. And thanks, Anne, for being available for clarification. It's really helpful. So I just wanted to note this slide that's up where we're identifying some alternatives to subcommittees as we kind of figure out the ex officio role and potentially amending the charter in a future date. But some alternatives to subcommittees include brown bag lunches, so lunch and learn, kind of either virtual or in-person opportunities that are publicly noticed, that we can focus on different topic areas that are related to what we've identified here, and also invite other members of the public, or have it or more broad provides opportunity for engagement. Additionally, hosting educational workshops and briefings. We have been able to do the briefing part quite effectively, I think, as we're developing guidelines and guidelines language and utilizing subject matter experts of the committee, which is another way that we could identify subject matter expertise as it kind of has already been identified by members with, you know, things that you're interested in are often, I see are areas of your expertise that already exists. And so perhaps we kind of codify that as subject matter experts. And so when we are holding briefings, we reach out to, you know, the two subject matter experts on, you know, I'm looking at Christine, housing and finance and transit oriented development, for example. And we always know that we can like go to you to help work on guidelines language related to that. So that's another option. And then finally, if we're interested in projects and the development of projects or engagement at the district level, continuing to organize and invite folks to tours and learning through other opportunities at the district level, which is a space that, as we also heard earlier from the Caltrans team, you know, is going to just continue growing. And so if we're just already knowing that Peggy and Connie are in North Coast and are ready and excited, that we just kind of tap you in, and that's another way that we can have alternatives to subcommittees. So many options here.
Thank you.
Ms. Armas Kelly.
I also wanted to note that along that same line, that there could be a space for those that want to help plan with our events that are coming up as we have our meetings, like restaurants or where we're going to meet, those kind of tours that you were talking about and different opportunities. And given that time, if we know ahead of time where we're going to be, which we do, if we could have that set group, a subcommittee, to be able to help plan with those components for our meeting, I think that would help also in the interest of supporting staff, in the sense that we would want to know like what we could contribute, whether it's cultural, whether it's connectors, you know, with other groups that might be in the area that would be that serve the purpose of the EAC.
So I like that idea. I like a lot of your ideas, Vice Chair. But what I'm sensing from the room is that we are very overextended as individuals and may not be able to commit to a committee structure right now. So I'm happy with removing my proposals for the time being, but I'd like to urge you all to do the following. Because we are at 5 o'clock, and like I said, we aren't going to have time to hear from 15 people for 2 minutes because we're at 5 o'clock. The agenda you see before you is an agenda that was comprised of ideas from your chair and your vice chair. Probably more your chair than your vice chair, but there's some vice chair in there. I encourage you all to email something that you'd like to be discussed at the executive meeting where we will have our executive leadership, and to do that by, I mean, our posting deadline's in 2 weeks, correct? Oh, there's more hands. Well, so
I'm a little bit lost.
late hand. So
No, yeah.
Okay, go ahead. I'm trying to, well, let me make my recommendation that I think that asking everyone to send an idea to staff by, you know, a week and a half from now would be helpful, so that we can, as the chair and vice chair, have an understanding of what you all want to discuss when we're developing the agenda. I'll go to, well, I guess Ms. Armas Kelly is not up right now, so Ms. Erasmus.
Yeah, thanks. So just to clarify, yeah, as we're starting to prep for the May meeting, which, I also want to acknowledge that that's part of the next agenda item, not this one. So I don't want to get too deep into discussing it. But to clarify the question, it's on May 15th and the posting would be 10 days before on the 5th. So roughly the 1st would be finalization of materials, but we'd be happy to convey that in an email. So we do have a little bit of time, but for the sake of today, I might suggest that there are several areas of interest that have been identified via Chair Walker's proposal, via conversations that have been documented in our book items, that if folks wanted to do something like move forward as the subject matter experts and be able to kind of represent those areas in areas, in spaces where they're needing to go, for example, in the broadband space, that the committee consider moving forward with something like that, so that we could kind of get something going. And then as we figure out the subcommittee logistics a little more clearly and communicate that with members via email, and develop that a little more clearly as well with your input, that could be an option for today.
Great. Happy to entertain that. I don't think we can make a motion on it because it wasn't, it's new, so happy to see.
You could do that.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'll entertain a motion to develop a list of subject matter experts, and for that list to be comprised of interests that reflect those that were expressed by members in whatever method, whether it's through the surveys, through discussions and briefings, or through this meeting process. And that I actually want that list to be, I'm also entertaining that list be distributed to district directors and executive leadership from all three agencies.
I make a motion to agree with that.
Okay,
I
so
second the
I think
motion.
you do still have a hand up though.
okay, I will go to that hand, but that's the motion I would like to entertain. Is that, and Vice Chair Armis Kelly is moving it. Is there a second?
Second, it's Michelle Rousey.
Thank you, Ms. Rousey. Member Stewart.
Technically, since there's a motion, I can't say what I'm saying. You should continue on the conversation around the motion, because now I would be deviating from the motion. So finish the motion and then please come back to me.
There can be discussion before the vote is taken.
My comment had nothing to do with the motion.
I'll
Thank you.
withdraw my motion, and I will call on Member Stewart. Go ahead.
I think that the fundamental problem I'm having here is there seems to be two different ideas. One is creating subcommittees, and the other is creating subcommittees that avoid the Bagley-Keene Act, and by only having 2 members. I personally I'm not opposed to the idea of us having a more open process and actually having subcommittees that are noticed so that we can also get public input during them. And so I think we need to first figure out that piece, because honestly, I'm more comfortable. I would be comfortable making a motion to approve subcommittees today if we just acknowledge that there's going to be more than 2 of us on the subcommittees.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I just want to say, Chair, you got us pretty far. I think we could solidify this with a few more minutes if people are comfortable with noticing the meetings and having discussions that the public can participate in.
That's good.
And I'm not opposed to that. That's the question I asked of staff about 10 minutes ago, and I heard nothing. And the last time we had that discussion, it was expressed that staff would not necessarily have the capacity to do that. And that's why we landed on those ad hoc committees. I will go to member Novi and member Rousey, and I'd love to hear from a staff member.
So Chairman Walker, I think that you are right from the first conversation about wanting to have the meetings. And if we can, I do understand that the staff might not have the capacity to do that, but if we made broader subcommittees, then would they have the availability to have attendance there? Because I do understand that this is what your first approach was, and then you're trying to shift that to be in compliance with the law. So you're not in trouble. We're not in trouble as the committee. But I do think to move forward, we need to be able to talk to each other in smaller groups. And if we need to let the public be made aware of the meeting, that's okay with me.
That's
I agree.
that sounds good to me. Member Rousey.
Yeah, I agree. I think we should open it to the public. I think behind the scenes, if we do it any other way, then it's gonna look not really good to the public. And I just like getting public's views on things. I think when we open up things, we're including them, we give them access to things at a different level. And in my past meetings, we've had committee members of the committee that are public. And that just opens up a whole other thing that makes it accessible to people. So thank you.
Great. And I see a staff hand, Miss Abrams. And
Thanks,
if
Chair Walker.
member Novi and member Rousey, if you guys are done speaking, please lower your hands because I'm not sure if because it's not lighting up when people are speaking now. So I don't know what's going on. I think I heard from y'all, but I don't know. Member Abrams. I'm sorry, Miss Abrams. Promoted you.
Thanks, Chair Walker. So I wanted to just chime in here with a little more context on the staff side. So you all definitely have options to create subcommittees that consist of as many members as you would like, as long as it's under quorum. And with that, to the point that was made by a couple members, I think the broader groups would allow staff to ensure that we do have the capacity to support those subcommittees. And this is included in one of the background slides. Our suggestion on the staff end is that we could probably realistically staff about 1 to 2 subcommittee meetings between our regularly scheduled full committee meetings. And I think there are also a lot of options for us to get creative. So if subcommittees wanted to meet in person when we are meeting as a full committee and perhaps use the first half of the day for their subcommittee meeting or the second half of the day, however we want to structure that, that's also an option. So making sure that we're using our time in the best way possible will allow us as staff to support the publicly noticed meetings of those subcommittees, and also allow you as the members to get the work done that you intend to get done. So I hope that responded to a couple of the questions that were raised earlier. And I will flag just as one final detail, you could have a subcommittee that is 2 people. You could have a subcommittee and another subcommittee that's 5 people up to 7 people. So the subcommittees can have different membership numbers depending on the interest area.
So then would it be best to go to this committee list right now and just take names? Do people want to do that? Ms. Sarmas Kelly, followed by Ms. Stewart.
I want to know, as you said, that they could have 2 members or 4. So I'm trying to envision this, like if we had, for example, a group of 2 and it brought back some type of interest or something changed in the landscape where it's going to be something of more interest or pressing interest. Could others come into the group and then we would go into what they would call like a public meeting, and then would it be able to go back to the 2 if that interest is gone or as it's changed? And the other is like if we do have it before the meeting, how does that work? Because for some of us that are like going to be would we be able to do that hybrid as well, or how would that turn about, because some of them would not be able to attend as it is, we don't have everyone attending all the meetings. So I'm kind of trying to figure out how that would look like.
Yeah,
Um,
I can respond to the question about hybrid is, as the legislation currently stands, we can continue doing hybrid, including subcommittees.
I want to go to Miss Stewart and then I'm going to take a poll. Go ahead, Miss Stewart.
I want to make a motion. I'd like to, in my motion, I'd like to ask staff to consider stretching a little, but it seems to me like if honoring staff, but asking them to staff 3 committees, it seems like an anti-displacement committee, a complete streets walkability and disability committee, and housing and highway corridor safety planning covers most of what we want to do here. So I'd just like to throw that out as a potential motion, and then I'd like to staff to also consider our expertise, and that's where and engaging us in our expertise as well.
Is there a second for
I
Miss?
second it.
Great.
Peggy here, seconding.
Seconded by Member Martinez. And is there discussion on this motion? Member Armas Kelly? Or is that a late hand?
Where can we go?
Might be
None.
none?
None.
Okay, great. Member Rousey.
I think it would be great. I think combining a couple of them to make fewer groups is a good idea, and I support the motion. Thank you.
Miss Abrams. And it's late hand. Miss Novi, Member Novi.
In respect for time, it's already 5:11, and if we want to pass the motion, I don't know if we have a quorum anymore. Is there a way that we could proceed with that, or do we need to ask staff?
I would have been told if we didn't have a quorum by a clerk.
Okay,
So
thank you.
We clearly have a quorum. I'm not sure that can I go with like a safety, which could encompass highway safety, transit safety, walkable streets, and infrastructure, and then finance. I just feel like one, like we don't, and then climate's missing. So that's what I'm saying. Like it's just, it would be nice to see what people want to do.
Well, climate could be in safety, because that's really where I the perspective that I come with, because I'm an environmental, advocate, and I think that those are that kind of falls into that. But if we want to be specific, I don't know.
Okay, how are you feeling?
I would amend my motion.
Chair Walker, I'm going to pause you right there. There's a motion, and the motion maker would need to be willing to amend their motion.
I'm doing it right now. If you would let me I apologize. I missed the Climate Action Safety Committee, and obviously I should have included. Why don't I amend my motion to say complete streets, walkability, and disability.
Safety infrastructure.
Climate action, justice transition, and transportation equity. And then anti-displacement, highway corridor housing and planning.
Is there a second?
I second it, Michelle Rousey.
Miss Novi, discussion, go ahead.
Oh, I apologize. My hand was raised still.
Member Villegas Walker. And you're muted, cousin. Start again.
So I'm just wondering, we have another meeting in roughly 5 weeks, right? Can we go back to staff and just say, what is your capability? Because now we're asking them to staff 3 different committees. maybe we could have the executive committee come up with what those 3 categories are. I just think trying to do this one-off over the phone with all of us, it's kind of like trying to write a mission statement, and that's like next to impossible. So I'm thinking, can we just rely on your expertise, Leader Walker, just to maybe bring this back fully baked for us? We're going to be meeting in person, which is great. I think that's just going to be a lot easier. We're not going to be meeting as subcommittees between now and May anyway, I wouldn't think, but that's just my recommendation.
That would be Member Villegas Walker is saying that she would probably not support the current motion. Member Novi, and then I'll go to staff.
I would agree with the comment that I think we're trying to rush putting the committees together, and we should rely on your expertise, because you're our chair, on how you want to divide the groups if the staff is willing to go to 3 broader groups.
Great. Thank you. Member, oh, I'm sorry. I'm supposed to go to staff. I'm gonna just go to Member Rousey first. Go ahead, Member Rousey. I'm sorry, staff.
No, I you know, I'm thinking it doesn't really matter how they're comprised. It's just that we agree that we want the 3 subcommittees at this point, and let it go back to you as chair to figure out how they're comprised. But for us to agree today that we want the subcommittee. Thank you.
Noted. I'm gonna ask staff to speak to this, but I also want to say, is it possible for me to come up with an ad hoc subcommittee of 5 people? Staff.
Yeah, I'll clarify that we can have more than 3 subcommittees. The thing that we're trying to point to is our capacity to support subcommittee convenings between meetings. That's like the one thing. So we're not limited to only a couple of subcommittees, just the work between meetings, and and kind of the timeline of when recommendations from the subcommittees should come to the full committee for adoption, or for approval by the committee. The other piece is that, oh gosh, now my brain. Oh yeah, we at the May meeting are unfortunately unable to take action because it's an executive meeting. So the next time we could take action would be at our August meeting of the EAC only. However, we could continue the discussion, or continue to ideate, or staff could bring back a revised proposal. That's an option as well. But there is a lot here, and folks, there is a motion forward that I don't want to interrupt, by creating too much more staff input. But we're happy to support what the committee decides it wants to. It's just between meetings, we may not be able to have more than 1 or 2 subcommittee convening. I'll clarify.
Thank you, Mr. Rasmussen. My point is that if the committee can only meet once, then what's the point? Because if we have more than 3 committees, then they're only going to meet once between now and the end of the year. So, Member Novi. Unless it's a late hand.
Just lower my hand. I don't know why it keeps popping up. Sorry.
No problem. And it might just be data. Data gets weird at the end of meetings on Zoom. Member Armis Kelly.
So in essence, if we move it to another date for their next meeting, we're still not going to be able to vote on it because you said it's an executive meeting. So I think that we need to at least move something today so that we can get started, and then we can continue the discussion as we go regardless, because that's not something that we're not going to have an option to.
I agree with you. I don't know that I agree with the committee motion that's on the floor right now, but that's not up to me. I'm just entertaining things. I'll go to staff. I see Ms. Abrams followed by Director Taylor.
I have a feeling Tanisha's going to respond with the information I might be responding with. So Tanisha, I'll yield my time to you.
Perhaps, but maybe not. So I'll recognize you as well, Carolyn, because we're a team. I'm hearing a lot of things from our committee. I'm hearing some concerns about different paths and a lot of different directions. But what I am hearing are a couple of things that are rising to the top as urgent issues that the committee would like to discuss. Two of those things that I've heard that I would recommend you at least come together with the 4 people that are interested in the anti-displacement memo and ensure that they're not missing that opportunity to provide feedback into the anti-displacement memo, and the broadband issues that Ms. Stewart has raised, because those seem to be things that I have heard are time sensitive. That will at least let us get moving forward on 2 of the issues that our committee members and groups of our committee members have articulated are very focused and very time sensitive. That gives our team a chance to come back with a larger proposal, which it seems like I'm hearing from many of the committee members about how we should structure the different interest areas to create the 3 standing subcommittees. So that might be something that I propose so that we're not missing out on those opportunities for those time sensitive issues that are on the table before us, but we're also giving the time that the committee is looking for to develop a proposal that kind of gives us those boxes and containers that everybody is looking for.
Thank you, Director Taylor. Any hands? I see.
I have my hand up just to say I'm willing to alter the motion in any way in order to get us through today. So
Great. I'm gonna propose that we have 2 ad hoc committees and 3 bucket committees. And I don't know if I can propose it because Clerk Remedios, does it mean am I making a friendly amendment? What would you like me to do?
Yeah, it probably should not come from the chair. If
Okay.
Member Stewart is willing to make that motion, that'd be great.
Great. So I'm gonna entertain that the buckets be safety and climate, housing and transportation infrastructure, or I'm sorry, housing and infrastructure, which would include broadband. And have I said safety yet? I did say safety. And I mean, how does that sound? Those 2. Here,
and walkability, disability,
and complete
accessibility.
streets. Right, walkability, accessibility, and complete streets.
Disability.
Okay, so I'm going to leave it in your hands, Member Stewart. What's our new motion?
And okay, 4 committees: anti-displacement, safety and climate, housing and broadband, walkability, disability.
That works.
And complete streets.
That's it. Is there a
Do you have
second?
safety infrastructure on there? Did I miss that?
Oh,
No, there wasn't no safety answer. There wasn't. So
Well,
it went with climate.
Infrastructure can go under.
Oh, housing and
all of them.
infrastructure, right?
Infrastructure can
Okay.
go under all of them because
Yeah, that's why I took that word out, housing and broadband.
Okay.
because if a highway is unsafe, it's safety. If yeah. So I like that.
Let me say it again. Safety and climate, housing and broadband, walkability, disability, and complete streets.
That's
Go,
it.
Browse. Can I second that?
Is that still you, Miss Novi?
Yes.
Yeah, because my computer refuses to tell me who's speaking anymore. Is there comment on the revised motion? Is there public comment?
Not seeing any public comment at this time, Chair.
Please call the vote, Clerk Remedios. Or please call the roll. I don't know what I just said. Please call the roll.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Vice Chair Armas Kelly,
I agree.
Alice Contreras,
Aye.
Michael Despain, Ana Gonzalez, Herb Hastings, Peggy Martinez,
Aye.
Amber Novi,
Aye.
Andres Ramirez, Michelle Rousey,
Aye.
Connie Stewart,
Aye.
Randy Torres Van Vleck,
Aye.
Stella Ursua, Cheryl Villegas Walker,
Yes.
Christine Williams,
Aye.
Chair Walker.
Super excited to say aye to this.
Chair Walker, the motion is approved.
Great, and thank you all. That was a lot. Thank you, Member Stewart, because Member Stewart was like, "We are almost there. Can you just push this through?" And thank you for staff for compiling the item, for compiling all the different. I mean, this is a big thing. So thank you. We're now on item number 11, which is member reports and future meeting topics. I'd like to entertain a motion that future meeting topics be discussed at the next subcommittee meeting of these three committees, and that those items be brought to the chair and vice chair prep meeting. Because I don't think we have time to go around to talk about future meeting topics. Is there anyone that would like to support my entertainment of that motion or move
I
it?
second the motion.
Can you move it? I
I
can't.
motion that we go ahead and table this for our next meeting so that we can have a better and more robust participation. We are not all present, and I think that each person that is not here, as well as those that are here, would benefit from less stressful participation. So yes,
Do you need
please
a second
table.
to the motion?
Is
Yes,
there
please.
a second?
Amber or Novi second the motion.
Great. And so I just want to clarify, you're still okay with it being discussed at the next subcommittee meeting and to come to the chair's report meeting?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah,
And
Amber, Novi.
that we table other discussion. I want to thank you all for being here today, because as soon as we vote on this, we can go. I know. And we have to take public comment, but I just want to thank you all for your work to get us this far. Are there any other comments on this motion? Clerk Hall, if you could call the roll for this vote, please.
And just to be clear, Chair, there is no public wishing to make a comment on this as
Oh,
well.
thank you. I'm so sorry. I meant to get a public comment, and there's none. Great, thank you. Calling the roll, Clerk Ramirez.
Thank you, Chair Walker. Vice Chair Armis Kelly,
Aye.
Alex Contreras, Michael Despain, Ana Gonzalez, Herb Hastings, Peggy Martinez,
Aye.
Amber Novi,
Aye.
Andres Ramirez, Michelle Rousey,
Aye.
Connie Stewart,
Aye.
Randy Torres Van Vleck,
Aye.
Stella Ursua, Cheryl Villegas Walker,
Yes.
Christine Williams,
Aye.
Chair Walker.
Aye.
Chair, the motion is approved.
Great, so the action for that item is done. Do we want to go around for 2 minutes per member at this point? If no one says anything at this point, we will not be going to members for member comments. I don't see any hands. So you're welcome to put those comments in writing to our staff, and they will bring whatever you comment to our chair and vice chairs meeting, and that will all be included on our next action agenda, which is not May, but is it August? I think it's August. All right, closing the next steps, item 12. Miss Abrams, take us home.
Wonderful. Thank you, Chair Walker. I'll keep it brief. I just want to extend our gratitude to all of the committee members, our colleagues, and all of the external presenters today. I think we had some really incredible presentations, and our staff have been taking detailed notes on this conversation. I think you all probably are very excited about the motion and the action being taken around subcommittees. So we will follow up with more detail via email after this meeting. And with that, I'll turn it back to you, Chair Walker.
Thank you so much, Ms. Abrams. Brandy, Doug, Justin. I think it's Sol Garza. I think it's Rex. I can't see your last name, Rex Sarzan. And anyone else that is behind the scenes. We rarely get a chance to thank you all for the hard work that you do. Other Spanish and interpreters, names I can't see. Everyone who's doing behind the scenes, we really appreciate it. Also to all the staff, to all of our members, thank you for all your hard work, and for executives for attending and for providing your guidance. And for the members of the public, I know that they're gone now, but they were here and really thankful for their input as well. We will reconvene with our commission at our executive meeting. Oh, and thank you to Commissioner Lugo for being here on May 15th. Am I right on that? That's when we will.
That is correct. May 15th in Orange County.
All right. Thank you all. And if there's no objection, I will call this adjourned. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you,
Have a good
everybody.
weekend.
Thank you.
Good
Good
job.
night.
5 hours.
See you in
Bye.
May.
5 hour
Woo!
tour.
See you in May.
Good job, everyone. Thanks. Good night.
Bye.
Night, everybody.
Thanks, Rex.